week we talked about the risk of social media marketing, and Ken Perry was nice enough to weigh in on the topic, and if you missed it, you gotta go back and watch it because this is an incredibly hot topic for the industry and it's certainly top of mind for both regulators and lenders. It was such a hot topic that the National Mortgage News jumped on the bandwagon shortly after the show aired and released a good follow-up article. It was a good read, and we will post a link to the article below. In short, guys, just be mindful and respectful when you guys use social media to generate business. It's not something to fear, it's just something to respect. And now, that brings us to this week. The blogosphere and Twitterverse was popping last week with new alarming stats. Did I say that right? Blogosphere, Twitterverse. Anyways, you get my point. The big stat was household formations. Now, we saw a whopping 423,000 household formations from March of 2013 to March of 2014. Yeah! Of which 333,000 were renters. No! Yeah, only 90,000 were actual new homeowners.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Now, wasn't that just awesome news? So what is going on here? I wanted to know because I figured you would all want to know, so we went to work to find out what the heck's going on, and here's what we found. Cash is still king. Now, honestly, this isn't anything new, but I would have thought that the cash game would have run its course already with Blackstone and others tapering their purchasing sprees. The reason the cash game didn't dry up is because other key players came in to fill that void. Basically foreign buyers like China and others. Now, NAR reports that cash sales are still at 33%. That's a high number, but the real number is much, much higher. Reality Track, who takes into account cash sales at auction, says the real number is 42%. That number is astronomically high, and today's cash-strapped buyers simply can't compete with that. This is actually really interesting when you think about it, especially when you look at places like California, where their cash buying percentage is much, much higher, close to 80%. And apparently most of that is foreign cash, mainly from China, this from CNN Money. Another interesting note is the impact of cash sales on home prices. Take a look at this graph. The green bar represents asking price and the blue bar represents average cash sale price. Big discrepancy there, and again, cash is king and it can and will drive down prices. Cash is not the only culprit though. The millennials, as we've talked about several times now, just aren't sold on owning a home of their own. Now, this could be due to the fact that all they've ever seen in their short little lives is a messy up and down, people losing their homes market, or it could be due to the massive student debt piled on them. I think they both play a role. Recent events drove fear into the millennials as well as being strapped with massive student debt. It's not just the millennials either. Baby boomers are scraping by just to pay their bills. Some of them do actually have equity in their homes, but they're perfectly fine leaving that money and equity parked where it is. This again could be due to recent events or could be because their millennial kids are actually still living with them. Most of them can't find work out of school and they're forced to move back in with their baby boomer parents. This phenomenon has taken two key huge players out of the real estate buying cycle: move up and first-time homebuyers. This has all led to the highest renting percentage in an entire generation. Think about that for a second. An entire generation programmed without the American dream, which is obviously owning a home. That's a big deal, and that, as much as I hate to say it, is a culture shift, my friends, and I don't like it one bit. This is why we can have housing affordability at stupid, ridiculous lows not seen since 1981, and what does the millennial do? Put that all together and what do you get? Guys, we need to be aware of this. We get the perfect storm for renters. Recent activities, the real estate crash, plus massive student debt, plus complacent and content baby boomers, plus the foreign cash infusion equal what? Renters and a culture and mindset shift in America. Now, you can disagree with me all you like, but you can't argue with the facts that we presented today. We could again spend our time debating what's going on as to why or when or how or what, or we can talk about what we should do as an industry to fix it. I don't know about you guys, but I prefer the latter. I want to be part of the solution. Now, what is the solution? I don't necessarily know, and I'd love to hear your guys' suggestions down below. The factors we talked about earlier program these millennials away from the American dream. Maybe we need to start with a counter to that. We need to reprogram them as to the importance and advantages of the original American dream. That starts with you and I. NAR's already figured this out, as evidenced by their nationwide campaign to re-educate the new generation. I'm sure you guys have seen the commercials. We need to continue to do our part in our local neighborhoods and communities. Again, guys, please share your thoughts and ideas with the rest of us down below. We need to work together to get this message out. And thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Maybe we need